Where do you get the audacity? No. No, but seriously. Get out of here.
When you're bored and feeling blue, and you don't know what to do, just turn on your screen and keep watching me. It's Mandy and Friends, where the fun never ends. Mandy and Friends, where the fun never ends.
The fade is stuck.
It's glitchy.
Hi! Oh my gosh, are we on? We're good? We're cool? Soren, give me a thumbs up. Yeah? Okay. Welcome to Mandy and Friends. Oh my word, it's been a year and a half since I've done my last episode. I'm so excited to be back in the studio. And what prompted me, what like put me over the edge, what just my gut feeling, like you need to get back in the studio, was I really wanted to get to know my guest today. And my guest today is none other than Bubba David King.
Hi there.
Welcome. Round of applause. Yeah, sorry, we don't have a studio audience.
Studio. McMinnville.
Yeah. Come out. No. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So I don't know you at all.
No.
And so I'm very happy to have you on the show so that we can get to know who Bubba is.
A handful of Instagram messages to get me here.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yeah,
So.
which I very much appreciate how accessible you were. That's a big deal. But yeah, no, let's see here. I went to the where you guys, what's the debate?
Our forum.
Was it a it wasn't really even a debate.
It's meant to be a forum, but there's some chances to like respond. It was kind of weird.
Right. So I was born in Portland, raised in Beaverton, went to George Fox in 2004. That's when I even discovered the Valley.
Right.
To be perfectly honest. My parents, my grandma had a beach house in Yachats.
Oh, so you drive through. I love Yachats.
Literally, oh yeah. No, seriously, Yachats is still a dream. Just that's all I gotta say. It's a
I have
dream.
family in Walport, and then I've stayed in Yachats a few times. So I love
nice.
it. Yeah.
So, we would go in the winters, but literally just drive through Newburgh and then completely bypass McMinnville my entire childhood. And it wasn't until I got into Fox that I was like, oh, this is a cute town. Wow, there's a whole community here. Weird.
Yeah, outside of my bubble.
Yes. And so it wasn't until, long story short, it wasn't until 2015 that we essentially got pushed out to McMinnville because, I don't know if you remember this, I don't know, where were you in 2015?
Newburgh.
Newburgh, you were living in Newburgh.
Yeah.
Okay. So my family and I, we were moving back from North Carolina.
Okay.
We lived there for 2 years. We were planting a church in the Bible Belt, like you do.
Seems like a good idea.
Totally. No, we left good people in charge. The church is still actually going strong. But when we moved back, 2015 happened to be a year where everyone in the United States was either moving to Raleigh, North Carolina, where we had literally just left, Portland, Oregon, or Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And so even though we were fully planning on setting our roots back down in Beaverton, there was literally nowhere to live. So anyway, we got pushed out to McMinnville because there was nowhere else to live.
Right.
And I'm so glad. It was such a miracle. It was such a godsend, honestly, that we did.
Right.
Because I've never looked back. Like, we've been here 8 years. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
So I want to hear your journey. Where were you born? And
So I was born in California.
What?
Yeah,
Get out.
One of those. Yep.
Wait, I'm waiting for him to cut. Get out of here. Sorry.
Yeah,
Where in California?
And at the time, and it's bigger now, a smaller town called Yorba Linda.
I know Yorba Linda.
It's in Orange County. It is strikingly similar to Newburgh.
Oh, wow.
Both kind of Quaker towns, very rooted in old Quaker roots. When I was 15, my parents decided they wanted to move to Oregon. They had a friend that had moved a few years earlier to start a church in Tigard. And
Which one?
It was called Portland Vineyard at the time.
Oh, nice.
And so we knew somebody here, but that was the only people we knew. We moved to Sherwood. Sherwood at the time was very small. This was 98, I think it was. Nice. So it was still very small, not the poshy place it is now.
Here's the real question, because I remember when Roy Rogers was built.
Yes.
Was Roy Rogers built when you had moved?
It wasn't called Roy Rogers yet. It was just starting.
Okay.
They had just built it. They were just starting to move that direction. So.
Right.
And my senior year of high school, last, I think, 3 months or so, well, it was in May, I met my wife, Sarah. And
in high school?
Yeah, she went to Newburgh. She's 5th generation Newburgh.
Oh, cute.
And she was a junior. She came to my youth group. A friend of ours brought her, and I thought she was cute, and she was a girl that didn't go to youth group. So I thought this was great.
You're like missionary dating.
Yeah, missionary dating. Yeah, exactly.
And this is a Vineyard church.
This was Vineyard still,
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And we started dating, and I graduated. We dated through her senior year of high school. She graduated from Newburgh. She wanted desperately to leave the state.
Wow.
To go to college. And so she picked Seattle Pacific.
I was about to say, like, she desperately wanted to settle down and start having babies.
No. She wanted to. She's very smart. So
nice.
she knew that she wanted to go to school. And so she went to Seattle Pacific. And I told her, if we make it through this, we can get married. So we dated for almost 5 years to the day.
Wow.
Our anniversary is the day before the election. And
the election of
what I'm running for, County Commissioner.
Oh, cool.
Why we're here, right?
Right. No. No. This is just we're just
we're just talking. So when we got married, I moved to Newburgh. So I moved to Newburgh in about 2006, and I've loved it ever since.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously spent a lot of time for those 5 years before when she'd come home from school or.
So what did she graduate in?
She got her undergrad in interior design. Specializing in lighting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kindred spirit.
And then she worked at George Fox while you were going to school there.
Oh, shoot.
And she worked there for about 8 years, and she got her MBA. And now she works at Nike.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What does she do there?
I don't know.
You should know what your wife does.
Well, this week they did a big layoff, so she actually has a new job she doesn't really know. But she works in IT, product management. So
we circled back to now you're living in.
Now we got married in 2006, and
you've been in Newburgh ever since.
Been in Newburgh ever since. Yeah, we.
Awesome.
Rented a house for a year, and then we were able to buy a house that needed a lot of work and fix it up. And we lived in that house for about 9 years. And our neighbor sold their house and got way more money for it than we ever thought we could sell. And so we decided we're going to throw our house on the market and see if we can buy a farm.
Nice.
I had been farming, borrowing friends, people that had property that I knew to raise pigs or vegetables or meat chickens.
So you were leasing land?
Beg, borrow, or stealing. I don't know that I ever really paid very many people for it because I couldn't afford it. But, I was casting a wide net at farming. I was learning a lot.
Yeah, I get that.
And but I realized that I really loved it. And
now, I really want to get to know, though, why was farming so important to you? I
had worked as a concrete finisher. I had my own company, and I decided I hated it. I was 24 years old, and my hands were gnarled, hurt, and my back hurt, and my knees hurt. And I thought, if I'm going to be 50, I'm going to have kids, and I'm not going to be able to play with them.
Right.
And so Sarah, my wife, told me that you can quit. You just have to get a part-time job. A minimum wage.
Sure.
And we were dirt broke. I mean, we had barely pay all of our bills in 1 month, kind of a thing, right? And so
I have been there.
Yeah, we've all been there,
Yeah.
you know, as young married people. And she was working at a winery, Adelsheim, 1 day a month.
I know Adelsheim very well.
And she was working in the tasting room. They asked me, like, hey, do you want to work here? I said, I don't like wine. I drink Coors Light. So they said, no, don't worry about that. We will teach you about wine. And so, this is great. So I worked in the tasting room, and within a couple of months, I was the top salesman. And I met my business partner from Honey Pie the same day. We started the same day, and we taught each other. He taught me about wine. I taught him how to talk to people.
Nice.
And you know, we just how to sell. And a year later, I wanted to learn more about wine. I actually really liked it, so I worked in the cellar. And when you work at a winery, there's usually lots of really great food. And I couldn't afford any of this food, and so I said, I'm gonna learn how to just do it myself. And so I asked a friend if I could put some pigs in their backyard, and you know, so I got 3 pigs, and I sold one and gave them one, and I kept one, and you know, and it kind of, the one I sold paid for the other 2, and got meat chickens and kind of did the same thing. I kept 50 and sold 50 and put them in the freezer, and that's kind of how we fed our family for a lot of years. And I realized that I'm really terrible with, I'm an okay gardener, but I'm terrible with plants. And I started a CSA, and plants, you know, a CSA is not a garden.
You know, it's good to know what your weak points are. That's what. Because I've been in business for the last 8 years, and it's like if something doesn't work out, I'm like, okay, I know not to do that. Yeah,
it was not. It was a learning lesson that I'm much better with animals, and so we did that for several years. And even in that time, we had really big gardens, and I would. I kind of started after the CSA that I shut down. Would put together 5 boxes of like a CSA box, essentially out of my garden, and give it to families that couldn't afford the same food that I was growing or couldn't do. So I really it was I've always, my parents and grandparents growing up in the church, always taught to serve your community, right? And it was kind of the backbone. And so I thought, well, this is how I can serve. I can't, afford to tithe right now or something like that, right? So I was giving, that's how I was giving back to my community.
Yeah, you can tithe with your time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Time, energy, or money is what I was taught. And so
that's awesome.
So that's, I gave my time and my energy and my food.
Cool.
So, and I loved it. I loved doing that. And when by the time we got to the farm, though, I knew I had worked at a raw dairy for about 6 months and learned the business model, and knew that this was something that I could actually turn a profit on, and would be, was a viable business, right? Often small farms, homesteads, they have a really hard time making money. So my parents were self-employed, so I always had that entrepreneurial type of this is what we we do. Right? This is what I want.
Everyone's everyone's.
Not everybody's. I mean, some people don't do it well, right? But but just in that business mindset, that's what I wanted to do, and so we were able to get a cow and start in on. We milked it for a month, made sure we were doing it right, everything was good, and then we started selling.
Okay, I have a question. Because I used to, when I could drink milk, unfortunately I'm allergic to it now, but back in the day, I would try to get all raw milk. Now, have things changed since 10 years ago? I could only buy raw milk
on the down low?
Yeah, under the table in a back corner alley.
So it's per state, right? These are, so depending if you're in North Carolina or here, but here there's some rules that we have to abide by, and one of those is either 3 cows, or sorry, you milk 2 cows, and you can have a third that's pregnant, essentially, that's not in production.
Oh, interesting.
Or you can sell by a herd share. So basically, I sell you a fraction of my herd, and that entitles you to a portion of the milk. And so that's how we operate.
Okay.
So we
there's-
still only milk 2 or 3 cows at a time is really all we have the bandwidth for to
Okay.
be able to do. Yeah.
Because there's some heavy restrictions, mainly because when I was buying raw milk, it was like you had to state that you were buying this for your animals.
For your dogs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not the case in Oregon today.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
the case in other states,
Yeah.
but in Oregon today, it is legal.
Okay. I have a big question.
Yeah.
What makes you think that you can run Yamhill County?
It's a huge question. Yeah.
Well, no, but I wanna pinpoint something. I feel like if you want something accomplished,
Sure.
you just do
Just
it.
go into it. Yeah.
And you know what? As long as you have the right people around you supporting you,
Yeah.
it can get done.
Yes.
That, for me personally, I had to learn in adulthood.
Right.
I was raised in the box. I was raised like, you go to college, you get a secretary job, you get married, you have kids, and then who knows?
You're a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and or you just be a grunt the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It wasn't until actually North Carolina
Yeah.
that I watched these twin friends of mine, Amanda and Ashley. They were homeschooled their whole lives by their single mom.
Okay.
Homeschooled them. And I met them within the first month of moving to North Carolina. And because they had a gallery, I'm an artist, so I was, walked in and met them, and to them, there was no box.
Right.
To them, it was like their single mom just like taught them the world's your oyster. The internet, you can learn anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hello. But seriously, their mom instilled in them that like if you have enough grit and determination, you can literally do anything. And I was essentially their apprentice for 2 years when I was in North Carolina, watching them build their business. They had a business when I was there, and then I helped them move their business to downtown Raleigh. And it was the best education I ever got,
Right.
because it was hands-on and also just mind-blowing, like what they could do if they just put their mind to it. And that was something that truly I was never taught as a child. I was just taught to like fall in, and so I just wanted to ask you, like, yeah, it's a big
Yeah.
question to be like, okay, where do you get off, like, saying that you
This
could
is
be
it.
the
Yeah.
commissioner of Yamhill County?
Right.
Where do you get that from?
So there's 3 commissioners, so it's not just one.
Sure.
But it is this sense of that running a business type of thing, right? I think we can live in a world where, and fear that you're unqualified to do what you're doing, right? I mean, I think a lot of people feel that way, right? And we get scared or something. But, I've had enough experiences across multiple industries that has really taught me that I'm qualified to be where I'm at, right? And people value that. And I mean, I didn't go to college, right? It wasn't for me. School wasn't for me. But I learned through having businesses, working for people, mentors, that I am qualified to be where I'm at. And an example of that is being the president of the Chamber of Commerce, right? Like, on paper, am I? I don't know. But really, I'm not talking about paper. I'm talking about reality, right? And I know that I'm doing a good job. And I know that I learned when I was finishing concrete, right, as a trade. And it's maybe, in my opinion, one of the harder trades out there, because when the concrete hits the ground, you don't get to stop until it's hard. And it decides when it's hard, not you.
Oh, yeah.
So you work until it's done, right?
Sure.
And I've had that mindset my entire life. In high school, I was a wrestler, and it's just always been that, right? That you work until it's done. My dad, that's how he ran his business, and so those types of things have been instilled in me for a very long time. And I'll bring that same attitude towards everything that I do, running this campaign, or when I have the seat, that I don't stop working until it's done, and I constantly learn. I'm always learning.
Yes.
And it's what drives me, and I love learning.
That makes a good leader too.
It took me a long time to learn how I learn, but once I did, it's really great.
Yeah, totally. I have a fun little treat for both of us.
Good. Oh, right.
Look at that. You
I got
guys.
mine in the mail.
Voter pamphlet. Okay, so my husband and I were, by the way, shout out to my husband, Yamhill. So, okay,
Love those guys.
He ran this for 10 years as that was his job.
Right.
He now works for the city of Salem,
Great.
stormwater. Yeah. But we were looking at this, and this is for fun.
This is for fun.
This is I need to show you
Right.
this in case you have not seen.
That way.
Wait. No. You don't know what I'm going to show you. This is a surprise.
Surprise.
Yeah. Have you read this man's situation?
No.
Okay. We are going to read
Okay.
what this guy.
I haven't read. I just got mine in the mail yesterday, and I
Okay.
haven't read all of them yet. And
This is happening. So first of all, his name is Dave Stouffer. Maybe like
Stouffer, yeah, sure. Yeah.
Stoffer, I don't know. He's running for the Secretary of State. Can we do a thank you?
And he's a Democrat.
He's a Democrat running for the Secretary of State. This is what, and I have to give all the credit to my husband for reading literally everyone's profile in this book.
Does he get paid from the weed industry? Because the last one didn't go well.
No.
Okay, good.
No. So he's running for the Secretary of State, and this is actually pop quiz for you.
Yeah.
What does the Secretary of State? What are they supposed to do?
I think they kind of keep. I'm not going to give you a great answer.
It's okay.
But
Just shotgun it.
they essentially secretary of the state. I mean, it's very definitive, right? So they keep track of all of the campaign financing and the rules that go with that.
Okay.
They keep track of businesses, bankruptcies. The Secretary of State website is a phenomenal source of information.
Yes.
It's like its own little Google, but in its
You got it.
there. Yes.
Perfect. Everybody keep that in mind when I read what his. This is, and you guys put these in here.
Yes.
These are not
Yeah,
edited.
we provide these
Which
statements.
means Dave put this in here all by himself. Dave Stouffer's first, okay, so this is his stance, okay?
Yeah.
As Secretary of State.
An elected
Dave's-
position.
Yeah. Dave Stouffer's first environmental saving invention is his submerged water pipe to take the clean water that normally flows into the Pacific Ocean and is wasted and send it to drought-stricken areas. First of all, that sounds amazing.
Right.
I don't know if the Secretary of State does that. Dave's submerged pipelines will also include thousands of in-pipe pollution-free electricity generators. That sounds awesome.
Wow.
Look more at his Facebook, which is in here. Number 2, Dave Stouffer's second invention. This is the best part. When installed on every house in America and throughout the world, will greatly decrease every household's use and cost for heating their house, air conditioning their house, heating water in every house, generating pollution-free electricity in every house, so that it will drastically reduce the air pollution that is caused by burning coal, fuel, oil, and natural gas to heat, air condition, heat water, and provide electricity to houses and buildings. That sounds awesome, but he did not say what the crap is going on top of the house.
Sounds like It was probably around a $300 advertisement that goes to every state.
Yes! No. Wait. Okay, sorry.
He might be a genius.
Number 3. No, literally, this guy is a genius. Number 3, Dave Stover's third invention is his mass transit rush hour traffic bottleneck uncorker,
Yeah. You don't have one?
which can greatly, again, does not explain what the uncorker is. Just says, which can greatly reduce the hour-long traffic jams in the morning rush hour, and he goes on to explain that.
You don't have one?
We don't know what the uncorker
Oh,
is,
wow.
but
No.
you know what? Dave's got it. And then last but not least, number 4, another invention will generate pollution-free electricity from ocean waves.
Yeah, obviously.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic, yeah.
We
Secretary
need-
of State, that's our next guy.
We need to elect Dave Stover for Secretary of State because he's got all the inventions hidden in his sleeve. No, but literally.
You know who's not happy about Dave Stover? James Manning Jr.
Yeah.
He's not happy that
Yeah.
he's
James
on the
Manning is
same.
also a
Yeah.
Democrat.
Ask me how I know.
He's got all the credentials. I just love that Dave is
You know, it's
like,
about $300 to put your name in there. So, you know, just go ahead and go to the clerk, and next time you're trying to sell some inventions,
run for office.
run for office. Yeah.
That's literally what Luke said. He's like, this is the best ad
Yeah.
I have
It's
ever
the
seen.
cheapest ad you
and
could probably
here
get.
I am on TV talking about it. Good job, Dave. Man, you are smart. You're smarty pants.
That's great.
And I want to learn more about what is going on every household in America
Yeah.
to, you know, fix the pollution problem. Isn't that amazing, though? I had to bring that just to show that. Like, that is so smart. Like, of course he's not going to get elected. What if he does, though?
Oh, that's
He
a
just
crowded-
really wanted to tell people about his
That's a
inventions.
crowded field. I
Dude, I'm going to run next year.
don't know who any of these people are.
I'm totally running next year and telling everyone about my St. Bezzy's.
I've met.
I'm gonna tell them about my innators.
Your what?
My innators.
Innators?
Innators.
You'll have to wait until the next voter
Phineas and
pamphlets.
Ferb. Do you not know about a children's cartoon show?
No.
You don't know Phineas and Ferb?
You should
Oh, I
wear
know
them.
Phineas and Ferb, but
Yeah, Doofenshmirtz innators.
oh, I don't know
See, but
that.
oh my god.
Um,
to.
I'm 38.
I'm too young.
I'm 38
you.
years old. I don't know if you knew this, but I watched Phineas and Ferb with my children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was during my teenhood.
You have kids?
Of kids, yeah. 2 kids, 11 and 9.
Nice.
Boy, then girl, Ulysses and Arland.
Whoa,
Harlan.
where'd you get those names?
Very long stories, but yeah, the naming children is hard.
Yes,
So, yeah,
I have a story about that too.
naming children is hard. But it took a long time to come up with the names and,
Yeah.
and how we got there, but I do love their names. It's-
Ulysses, though. That's a
Ulysses
powerful name.
was a big one and very hard to actually say we were going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I am that person that is like, with all 3 of my kids, with all their names, I always went to, okay, but what is their nickname gonna be?
Yeah.
Okay, what are we actually gonna call them? Because we accidentally, literally, not on purpose, named all 3 of our children Hebrew first names and very British English second names, middle names, and the nickname. So that's why I'm thinking Ulysses. Like, what would I say? Yuli? You call him Yuli?
No, I call him Ulysses because it took so long to.
Okay,
it was
you're
so
like,
hard to name him.
"You're Ulysses."
And you know, my real name is David, and I've been Bubba my entire life, and so there's a little
Wow.
bit of a complex there of.
Yeah.
You know, if you're gonna name the kid, just name. You know, if you're gonna call him Yuli, then just name him Yuli.
Yeah.
But
No.
personal context there because I got Bubba.
Dude,
but,
literally, this show is called Mandy and Friends
Yeah.
because my childhood name was Mandy.
Yeah.
My brother and my parents still call me Mandy.
Yeah.
Some of my childhood friends, Catherine, you know who you are. or Kate. She goes by Kate now. Which I'm like, I don't call her
Cop
Kate.
out.
She calls me Mandy, and I call her Catherine. But anyway, it's the same thing, but I go by Amanda otherwise.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's amazing. So, okay, so your dad, you are a business owner.
Yep.
You're running for Yamhill County Commissioner. What is your favorite food? Now you owned Honey Pie.
I used to own Honey Pie. Yeah.
Yeah.
We sold it in May last year. Oh gosh, coming up very quickly for the 1-year anniversary.
Okay. Would you say your favorite food's pizza?
I do love pizza. I had a lot of it for
I
a couple
bet.
of years,
I
so I'm very particular about pizza now.
Okay.
It either has to be garbage pizza, you know, like Red Baron or something like that, that
Yeah.
I'll just like, oh, yep, give me that.
Like cardboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it has to be like really good pizza. So,
Yeah. Oh, that actually is a really great question. Where in the world have you been? Have you traveled at all?
Yeah, I have been a lot of places. Growing up in Southern California, my parents were youth pastors, so we went to Mexico quite a bit for
Okay.
missions trips, just to Baja. I actually lived in an orphanage for like 3 months when I was
Me too.
probably, I don't know, like 7? Probably
Oh, what?
Six
I
or
was
7?
17, but
Yeah,
go
6
ahead.
or 7.
Wow.
My dad went to work. My mom and my at the time there was only one sister. We just stayed at the orphanage for the summer.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great.
So,
and then,
¿tú hablas español?
no, it was one of my biggest regrets is that I
What?
never was able to learn Spanish.
qué?
I have to be like fairly immersed into it in
Okay,
order
well,
for it to
this
come
actually
around.
brings up a really good point. Speaking of Hispanic people, only because my brain, this is how my brain works. When in the 1990s, my dad, he was a medical missionary, and that's how I started going to El Salvador. Full circle, he also would donate his time and energy to our local farmhands.
Oh, cool.
So I remember in the 90s,
Yeah.
during Christmas time, it was myself and like a couple other people from church driving. Okay, so remember, I grew up in Beaverton. So for us, Newburgh was the country.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Sherwood was.
Honestly, it wasn't even Newburgh. It was Shoals. It was Shoals.
Yeah.
The town of Shoals.
Yeah.
We drove into Shoals.
Which is still country.
Literally, yeah. And it's so cute, by the way. But we drove into Shoals, and then we like drove past a couple farms. And this is such a core memory for me, because we drove to a farm and parked, met the farmer, shook hands. He's like, yeah, over there. You know, I'm literally in the 3rd grade,
Right.
so this is bits and pieces, right? We go, this is December, freezing cold outside. We go to these literal shacks, like sheds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where are we going? And at this point in time, I had been to El Salvador once. My dad
Right.
took me when I was in the 3rd grade,
Uh-huh.
which is similar to you. And we walked into these shacks, dirt floors,
Right.
and the farmhands were
Lived there.
living in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sorry, as a 3rd grader, I'm like, did we just step into a 3rd world country?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where am I?
Yeah.
And we were handing out Christmas pack. We were handing out socks. Like the churches had donated. It was a sock drive for
Yeah.
the farm hands. So, all that to say, that was a memory that I had had for a long time, and I was like, do you guys know that the people who serve America are living in actual shacks?
Yeah.
With no heat.
No heat.
Or running water.
Right.
I know one of the things that you want to do is create more housing for,
Yeah.
which is a huge passion of mine, because up until extremely recently, literally months ago,
Yeah.
we have been living paycheck to paycheck. And so it's literally one paycheck away from being houseless.
Yeah.
Even if you have a full-time job,
Right.
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So what are you planning doing to kind of remedy that, fix that, deal with it?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of initiatives at the state level and then within nonprofits, whether it's churches or shelters or some other nonprofit, to bring kind of affordable housing or workforce housing. There's kind of a lot of these buckets that you can talk about, right? But I think mostly what you're talking about is
I'm talking about people who are working.
Yeah, people that are working.
Yeah.
Are you talking about homeless people that want to get housing, or people that are working?
That's a very good question.
Because there's two different. Yeah.
Yep, I will.
So workforce housing would be
housing.
That would be what you're talking about.
Yes.
And there is initiatives. I think City of McMinnville is working on this. Most cities are working on this independently, trying to get funding.
Yeah. From the state or from
the
federal?
state or federal government, yeah, to be able to incentivize or help incentivize developers. There are things that we can do. In Newburgh, I was on a committee that helped lower some of the city fees, and I talked about this a little bit at the forum, but I was on this committee that essentially made it 75% less if you were to build a house under 1,000 square feet for these fees. So, and these fees can add up very quickly. I mean, they usually to the tune of like 10 grand. So 75% less is quite a bit. So that savings essentially gets passed on to the buyer by the time it gets to them. So that's one thing that we can do. Now, obviously, building things are very expensive these days, right? The cost of goods across the board is inflation, right? Things cost 20% more today than they did 4 years ago.
Sure.
Not a lot I can do about that as county commissioner, but really advocating and working with the cities in zoning or other avenues, and then having relationships at the state for programs that also help with that, because it is something that bigger companies are struggling with, is that they have to commute, or childcare centers aren't around. And so if we're going to attract jobs here, there also has to be houses here.
Absolutely.
And then when we have houses and jobs and daycares all in one community, most of that money stays within that community, right?
Sure.
So if I work in Beaverton and I send my kids to daycare essentially in Shoals, then I'm going to stop at New Seasons on my way, or I'm going to stop at Safeway on my way in to get my groceries, you know, and the daycare center, I'm paying them, right? But if I am here, the daycare center is probably a small business owner, right? And that person is also going to spend their money here. And so money just stays, getting money to stay here is really important.
Right.
Right. And supporting our small businesses
right.
that also support the people that have bigger jobs, and whether that's tech or manufacturing or any number of jobs that are within Yamhill County.
Yeah. Yeah. From the 90s, what I experienced is not the case now.
Yeah, there was, I vaguely remember that there were rules that you can have essentially like row houses or something to house migrant farm workers. And I think that went away not long after that, probably when,
Probably because they were like, this isn't cool.
Yeah, this isn't great.
Yeah. Okay. But even still, there still is a housing shortage in McMinnville and in Yamhill County in general, just like moving.
Yeah, we're deficient in quite a bit of.
But I know
housing,
that's
especially entry level housing.
Yes,
yeah.
I also know that's a nationwide thing.
Yeah.
And federal thing. So yeah, I know that there's only so much you can do with that.
Yeah.
I do remember, thanks to going to the Civic Hall thing, you were talking about taxing the hotels.
Yeah, so there's what's called a TLT tax in place, right?
But you wanted to tax it for something very specific. which I
So
thought
right now,
was
the
great.
Atticus essentially, yeah. Right now, the Atticus pays this, right? Or
Yeah.
you know, any motel, you know, Best Western pays it. You know,
Like it's already
that's already
happening.
in place, and that's essentially what funds Visit McMinnville,
Yes.
right?
Right.
So we love Visit McMinnville; they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
But the county doesn't have its own implications. So when it comes to those Airbnbs that do exist within the county, outside of city limits, the county's not currently, I mean, it's a very kind of a gray area, but we're not collecting money for that, right? And so a percentage of that money goes back to the general fund of a budget, of the budget of the county, right? And
Okay.
so another example would be lottery dollars. Lottery dollars are very specific to what it can be used for. It doesn't go into the general fund. It has to go into traded sector jobs, essentially, companies to promote those. So
Yeah.
essentially like a chamber of commerce or something to that effect. But what's unique about the TLT is that it goes into the general fund to where we can spend it on whatever we need to, right? So right now we don't have that, and there are, you know, some hotels or, you know, I wouldn't say hotels, but bigger Airbnbs.
Okay.
That is what they prefer them as. But you know, there's places that are popping up that are more agritourism, if you will, and this is a whole nother topic of whether you think agritourism should exist or not, and what that looks like. There's very few definitions.
Yeah.
But the fact is they're still operating,
Yeah.
and we're not collecting money.
Got it.
So
But you wanted to do something specific with that money. What? Okay.
When I go to-
that's my question.
yeah.
Though. What do you see? What is the immediate need in Bubba's mind?
right. I think that this would take, it's more than just my mind.
Sure.
I don't want to say where the money should go or not go, right? If it's going to go to county properties, something to that effect.
County properties. What do you?
So like if I'm going to give it to McMinnville for affordable housing or sheltering,
Yeah.
that could be an option, right? I'm going to give it to YCAP for, or we can use it for an Health and Human Family Services detox center. Something
Yeah.
that Lindsay Manfred, the head of the HHS, is one of her goals,
Yeah.
right? So we can do something to that effect, or we can put it into roads, or we can put it into more infrastructure, right?
Yes.
Aging bridges. The cities, all of them have problems with their water or sewer or those types of things, right? So I don't want to say that this is what we should do with this money.
Okay.
I want to say is that the budget is tight, right?
Yeah.
There's no more money for X,
Yeah.
right? In fact, they're cutting money because we don't have enough,
Right.
because of that 20% inflation, right? It's a hard job. So we have a funding source, and even if it's not very much, we have a funding source
Yeah.
that we're not using.
Right.
So that's one example of something that I would like to do.
Yes. Got it.
Yes, and there's a lot of other programs at the state that we can take advantage of that we're not currently using.
Mm-hmm.
But that gets really boring for Mandy and her friends. So that's,
Yeah. I don't want to be bored.
yeah, no, we don't want to be bored. We don't want to be bored.
No. That's totally making sense. That's really
Mm-hmm.
awesome. I heard through the grapevine / social media.
Instagram.
Instagram, which, by the way, if you're not following him, you should definitely follow Bubba.
I much
on
prefer Instagram to Facebook, by the way.
it's
If we're
the
gonna
best.
touch base on Facebook is a wild place.
Yeah,
Let me just say.
I
Instagram,
agree.
I much prefer.
Dude,
yes.
have you checked into LinkedIn, by the way?
No. I almost got one to
Don't.
sign up, but it just again was
Don't.
another form of social media that I just couldn't.
Okay, so I have shout out to me / let me talk about my business for a second. No, no, but seriously, I have a nonprofit called St. Bezzy's Art Collab, and I'm in the process of opening a space. I'm super excited
Great.
to create a community art hub. with mental health programs, art therapy, all the things.
Yep.
So I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be all connected and do LinkedIn because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Dude, literally, I need help. LinkedIn is so confusing. I don't know why it's confusing.
I feel the same about Facebook. I missed that boat.
I love Instagram because it's just one
thing.
Yeah. You can go on your offshoots, but it always comes back to
the one thing, and there's not these groups.
There's not a whole
things,
right. There's no.
It wants me to date somebody. I don't know what that is. I'm lost.
That's it
I'm
though. It's
lost.
all the extra groups, and then all their feeds and all the. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
But anyway, on Instagram, I saw you holding a raccoon.
Yes.
How did you get this raccoon?
So a friend of a friend, a friend of a friend of a friend, essentially, raised this raccoon from a little tiny wee thing, like it was a house cat.
Yeah.
She bottle fed it and trained it to go in a litter box, and it slept in her bed, and she was living on a piece of property, and the landlord said, that thing freaks me out, I don't want it. So she had reached out to kind of a rescue group, and they were friends with my friend, and she said, hey, do you guys want a raccoon? And absolutely.
No questions.
So
Yes.
it's not really a pet, it's not really
What's
a pet.
his name?
His name is Yeti.
Oh.
It came with this with that name. He's not really a pet. It was kind of a. Can he live in your barn? And if he decides he wants to leave, he can leave. And so we said, absolutely.
Nice.
He likes to wrestle and play rough, and then he likes to get picked up on his back and scratched. And
Nice.
so yeah, he's wild, but he's been around humans and
Semi-tamed.
He's very tame. Yeah,
Nice.
he likes marshmallows and grapes. And,
Here's the real question.
we got chickens, and he doesn't mess with them because when he was a baby, they took him into the chicken coop and he got pecked, so he's kind of afraid of them.
Okay.
And, yeah, he's great to have around. He's like a morning chaos. He tries to mess with the cows when they're trying to get milked.
Nice.
We go.
But really, if I were to come to your house,
Yeah.
could I pet your raccoon?
You could if we found him. I mean, because he
Okay.
likes to sleep during the day.
Because I've always
So-
wanted to pet a raccoon, and
Yeah. Usually what I do if we see him, I usually kind of walk about 3 feet from him and put out my hand, and then he, with his little hand, put out your hand, and he kind of goes like this, and then he walks away. And then he just comes and like kind of shakes your hand, and then he leaves. And then
That's adorable.
And depending on what kind of mood he's in, he'll come and play with you. But
oh my gosh,
yeah.
that's perfect.
But if you woke him up from his nap, he'll
scratch your eyes out.
Yeah, he's not super pumped about it.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Bubba, for
Thank
coming
you.
on.
It
This
was
has
great.
been a journey.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you came on, and hello, amazing first episode.
Amazing first wrestler back. Are you going to keep doing them, or is this just like a 1.5 year?
Actually, tomorrow I am interviewing John Olson, the
Great.
McMinnville
Yeah,
Chamber
new guy.
president.
The new
I'll
guy,
be
yeah.
here tomorrow.
And it
at
is
1.
National Small Business Week. So what better
And
time?
I'm a small business owner.
Right, what better time? Yeah.
Boom. So we will be doing this more, but I have so much in the pipeline. It's stupid.
Great.
So when I do shows, it will be like, my hope is to do twice a month.
Great. Yeah.
If I can do that, I'm winning.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Hey.
thank you so much, MCM TV, for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thanks to Better with Bubba.
I got the swag on
He's
today.
got raw milk if you need it, by the way, and you don't have to feed it to your animals if you don't want to. You can feed it to yourself. And I also want to thank St. Bezzy's Art Collab and Painting with Mandy, because those are my businesses, and I'm here taking my time to be here. Let's give a high five and a doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, fade out. Goodbye. Bye-bye.